Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for making it today, everyone. Today's topic is quality interactions, and it is, in my opinion, the most important topic that I could cover. That's because at the end of the day, no matter what, or no matter how you utilize your curriculum or how your lesson plans are made and carried out, the most beneficial impact that you can have on your children is done through your interactions. So today we will discuss what quality interactions are. We will get 5 tips for quality interactions, and we will share ideas and inspiration. So let's get into it.
I'm sorry, Brandy.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not able to, my coworker and I are not able to get into the attendance. It's not
Oh,
working. It's not, the link is there, but there's nothing else.
okay. Probably the thing that I do.
Same here, Lori. Same here.
Okay.
Arali and Mona, same here.
Okay, try it now.
Awesome. All right, I'll continue. Interactions. So what are quality interactions? Interactions are exchanges and words and gestures between 2 or more people. As you already know, they can be negative, they can be neutral, they can be positive. There's times where you're making comments, you're asking questions, providing information, giving instructions. Other times you might be acknowledging a child's effort, making requests, or correcting something a child says. You may give hugs, pats on the back, likely smile, high five, or wave. You interact when you greet children in the morning, when you say goodbye at the end of the day, during whole group and small group, as children work and play, inside, outside. You are always interacting with your children. When I say quality interactions, I'm referring to those interactions that are enriching. They are relationship building. They provide children with a safe, happy, healthy environment where learning can take place. And as I'm sure you already know, you have a huge impact on the lives of the children in your care. How your school day goes for your children affects how they'll feel when they get home, how they feel coming to school tomorrow, and ultimately their love for school and for learning. So no pressure. Positive, intentional, and reciprocal, meaning back and forth interactions between educators and children, contribute to the best outcomes, happier, healthier, and more confident children. And if I'm being honest with you, personally, I would rather send my children to a classroom with a teacher that loves them, asks them questions, genuinely cares when they talk, respects them, hugs them, has quality interactions with them, rather than a classroom with the best curriculum, thorough assessments, a class full of the most high quality materials. If it's lacking in interactions, it is an easy decision for me. Interactions are number 1. Now, as you know, for Grow New Jersey Kids, we use these Itters and Eckers observation books. And when you go through ratings, this is what the rater will use in your classroom. So what I've done is I went through the books and I pulled out every time interactions are mentioned, which means every time your observer will be looking for an interaction. So for my 5 tips today, they are filled with interactions that come directly from the ERS books. So the first tip of the day is conversations. If you ask your child, what's your favorite color? And they say pink, that's not a conversation. It's a question and an answer. Conversations are back and forth. They should be occurring every day in your classroom. During circle time in the morning, I know you may have a list of items to get through in your morning meeting, so you try to keep the chatting to a minimum, but this is actually such a great time to spend conversing with your children as a whole group. Meals and snacks is another great time to have those back and forth conversations with children. Ask about home, what they did this weekend. Share what you did this weekend. Create an atmosphere of mutual respect, a safe place for children to feel comfortable to be themselves in. Tip number 2, enhancing vocabulary. When we talk about enhancing vocabulary, we're not saying sit your children down and teach them a list of words with definitions and then test them on it. No, we want you to casually be using larger words in your daily conversations. Feel free to add the definitions in while you speak. For example, wow, Johnny, you really worked hard to zip up your coat. I could tell that was hard work, but you didn't give up. That's called perseverance. And then take it a step further and tell the class, boys and girls, Johnny just inspired our word of the week, perseverance. Write it on the chalkboard, write the definition, and encourage your children to use it throughout the week. There was recently an idea that came from the NACCE conference in Nashville a couple weeks ago. And if anybody's on here that was at that conference and they wanted to share afterwards, you can feel free to. But I heard it and I had to share it. You plan ahead what books you're going to be reading to your children that week, and you go through them to pull out big words that you can use during your week. You're going to use these words intentionally throughout your days as you are in circle time, small group activities, snacks and meals. And by really preparing your words ahead of time and getting an idea of all the ways you can use them in the week, you're ensuring that the children will hear it enough times to have those words ingrained in their new vocabulary. I thought this was a great idea. Use names for people, places, things during routines or play. Be as specific as possible. Use descriptive words and use a wide range of words. For example, when I'm in the block center with a child, I'm going to be using words such as structure, sturdy, foundation, balance, architecture. We're going to talk about organizing our thoughts on paper, creating a blueprint. I'm going to refer to print that's in the block center that shows actual structures from around the world. I'm going to encourage children to think outside of the box and find other materials that can represent their thoughts and ideas when building a structure. There is so much potential for a rich experience to take place when children engage in play, but it's our job as teachers to prepare and come in intentional. Tip number 3, math talk. If I'm your technical assistant specialist, you've definitely heard me stress the importance of math talk. Make sticky notes if you have to and hang them up throughout your classroom that simply remind you to talk math. This should take place in every part of your day, no matter where you are. Circle time outside, snack, small group, walking around during free play. Here are some examples of math talk that you can use. Counting, subtracting, shapes, sizes, patterns, quantity and quality. Use fingers to represent numbers. Encourage children to use their fingers. Make math learning a part of daily routines, such as during cleanup time. Maybe you count down from 20 when you can tell that the cleanup is almost complete. Or maybe you refer to the clock and say, look, when that pointer gets to the 6, we have to be done because that means it's 10:30. Or when you're setting the table during snack, maybe you have the whole class count out loud the napkins that I pass out. Maybe you accidentally pass out an extra napkin and you have your children discover that there are 7 children in the class and 8 napkins at the table. 1 too many. I have to take 1 away because 8 minus 1 equals 7. Or at circle time, maybe you bring extra mats to circle and wait for the children to realize that there are more mats than children. Use math talk as children use non-math materials in non-math areas. For example, in dramatic play area, how many teacups are used at the tea party? Teacups are non-math materials and the dramatic play area is a non-math area. Connect numbers or shapes to the environment. The floor tiles are square like our calendar. Use questions in non-math areas to encourage children to explain their math reasoning. Why did you set out 4 teacups and 4 plates at the table? Oh, because you counted that 4 children were joining your tea party. Relate print numbers to corresponding numbers of pictures and objects. For examples, look at the block center signs. It can have 3 children playing in it. Can you count how many children are in there? It looks like it's full. Can I help you find a new area to play in? When you do that, you're showing the reason for print and bringing the meaning into it. And lastly, show children how to use math materials like a scale or a calculator. All of these examples, I know it was a lot, they all came directly from the ERS books. So those are what are really going to be looked for when you're in your observation. Tip number 4, open-ended questions. These ERS books call open-ended questions non-rote questions because a rote question is something like, do you like apples? It requires a 1-word answer, yes or no. We want less of those questions happening and more of the open-ended questions. Questions with how, what if, why, tell me about. I used to love playing a game with my class called What If. We would do this activity at least once a week where we all go around and think of a what if question. And they could be totally silly, like, what if the classroom was full of water and we could be swimming while we were playing? It got all the children thinking, imagining, laughing, and conversing with each other. Encourage children to talk more. If they tend to respond in one-word answers, try and keep the conversation going. Talk about topics that interest them. Help children communicate verbally with others. You can help them clarify a point if they're having trouble expressing their thoughts. Let your conversations go beyond classroom activities and materials. What are some of your holiday traditions at home? Listen when they speak, show your enthusiasm, and form those relationships. And last, ask questions about materials that stimulate reasoning. What would happen if we put this marble in the center of our table? Why would it roll? Where would it fall? Why would it fall? And our last tip of the day is displays. From my experience, this is an area that sometimes gets skipped in daily routines. Generally, the displays in a classroom are going to be family photos, children's artwork, current study charts, graphs, posters of people differing in races, abilities, and ages, center signs, print materials that enhance the learning in centers, your calendar, your weather, etc. They serve a purpose. They are not just for decoration for your classroom, but they should be referred to throughout your days. The first thing you want to do with your displays is keep them down low, child eye level. It's okay for some to be up higher as long as most are down eye level so children can interact with them throughout the day. I always encourage centers to include family photos in the classroom where staff can point to them and ask questions about what they see. Where were you in this picture? Who was with you? Do you remember this day? Show how print is a useful tool. Why do we put our names on papers? So that we will know whose it is. That is useful. Why do we have a daily schedule on the wall? So we can refer to it and know which activities happen throughout the day and when. Point out letters and words in your displays and help children hear the sounds. This specific one, as far as the Eckers is concerned, should be observed 3 different times in your day. So I was at a school recently when the child was trying to read an exit sign in the building. The teacher pointed to each letter and sounded it out with him. This is a great example of that. Another example would be pointing to the letters in November as you read it with your children during calendar. Really utilizing displays as a learning tool can have a huge impact. And as I wrap up, there's just some additional notes that I wanted to touch on. A supportive and comforting environment. You know that saying, actions speak louder than words? Well, I'm sure you would agree that you can read body language and you can tell by the actions if someone genuinely cares when you talk or if they're tuned out. Kids can too. They really can. So listen attentively when they speak to you. Give children. Oh, I think we're good. Give children a message of warmth through appropriate physical contact, holding a crying baby, hugging a child when they first enter the classroom, showing them that you're happy to see them. Be supportive and comforting when children are anxious or angry. Lead with empathy. Here's a big one. Young children cannot comprehend sarcasm. A lot of times they take it as insulting. Help children solve their problems and involve them in solving their own problems. At this age, they're still learning how to do this and need reminders of the correct approaches to take with conflicts. You might think, I model this every day. I show them how to do this every day. You know what to do. You know how to solve this problem. A lot of times they actually don't. They're still learning. It takes a lot of time to get that concept. Model good social skills. Point out children's positive social behavior toward one another. Call attention to children's feelings and the relationship between actions and responses. Wow, you shared your doll. Look how happy that made her. Explain reasons for why you may have to tell a child no. Please get down because you can get hurt rather than just get down. I know it's been said a million times, but I got to say it again. Those children that really push your buttons or test you, those are the ones who need these positive, warm, and comforting interactions the most. Build strong bonds with your children. Let them know they can trust you and you're on their side, and they will be more likely to participate and engage in your classroom. Thank you. That is it for me. So now we can take some questions. Okay. Does anyone have any questions from what I just shared or anything at all?
Thank
check
you
the
so
chat.
much, Brandy. I just loved hearing all those great tips. And I'm just excited to hear people's reactions. What are some tips that they have for their interactions with their children?
And it's okay to ask any questions you might be thinking. Like usually when I do staff meetings on interactions, it's a smaller setting. There are a lot of questions that come up. Well, what about when a child's doing this? What about when a child's doing that? And I get it. But feel free. You can ask anything here. Oh, go ahead, Hope.
Sorry. So my question is for a math idea, can you do patterns too?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Because
Awesome.
we're kind of doing like the building blocks like study. So I was
Okay.
thinking, you know, like doing patterns and like different things.
Yeah,
good?
that's perfect.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay. Okay.
I used to, when I would talk about patterns, or I would spend a few weeks really like aware of patterns throughout the play, free play, whatever they were doing. And I would just go over and be like, wow, it looks like you made an A-B pattern. A-B, A-B, A-B. It's red, blue, red, blue. Can we make an A-B-B? Can we make an A-B-C? So just enhancing, that's exactly the point. Enhancing the play. That's how they learn, is enhancing the learning through their play. Great question. Does anyone else have any questions?
And Brandy, I got a message that came directly to me. So it said, it's from Sharon, and I don't know if she's able to unmute, but she said those first 6 weeks are really important so you can learn your kids and get to know them. And Sharon, I don't know if you wanted to unmute and talk about that a little, or Brandy, if you wanted to share, you know, those, you know, that idea of having those quality interactions when you have a whole group of new children starting.
Absolutely. I will speak, but Sharon, feel free to just interrupt me and join in if you would like to. That is exactly right. And I would spend those first 6 weeks really learning the children and their learning styles and their comfort levels. If I had children who were more reserved or maybe more timid, they didn't just run right in and sit down and start playing like some of the other children. I made sure to give those kids extra attention and extra hugs. And when they came in, I was fully engaged in conversations with that child. What did you do this weekend? Tell me this. I'm trying to build the relationships. So I firmly believe you can't get through with your lessons and your teaching. If you have something you really want these children to learn in your curriculum or your lesson plans, if the relationship's not built, you're not going to get through. So that was always just my stance on it. But good point. And yes, we will send out the recording of this, right, Lori? Someone had asked that. Any tips? Yeah, I'm bonding with children who are extremely shy and timid. That was really it. I had this one girl, I'm in contact with her parents still today. And for some reason, I always like gravitated to those children that I really wanted to make them feel comfortable. So I would just hold their hand. I had that book, Llama Llama Mrs. Mama, because I could tell, you know, they're not fully comfortable yet. They want to be back with their mom right now. So I would read that book to them. I would talk to them about their home life, things that they are comfortable with. And then finding their interests in the room. Maybe they really love blocks or they really love science. And when it's time to head off into free play, guiding them, helping them. Hey, look, I added this into Science Center. I really want to show you. And it's just that extra step to get them to feel comfortable there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just
Another-
want to share one tip for interaction, because it's possible that during your observation day, you might have one child or a couple of children who don't speak English. So those we should not neglect that day, especially, well, every day, but especially that day. So if the teacher can make some like a list of home language, could be like if it's in Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, and try to speak in English, even though they don't understand, and put some of those home language, like home words in the interaction, use pictures that will also, she will get credit for.
Absolutely.
Hackers.
That is high quality in these books, is showing the awareness and the respect for a child in their home language. That's an awesome tip to add. Thank you. Another
They
thing
also and it's also gonna score for diversity and culture and all that parts in Eckers.
Exactly. Another thing I had just thought of is, I get this a lot, like, my child just runs out of the classroom. My child just climbs on the tables. My kids do these types of things. I was going to talk about when you're being observed, but it really doesn't matter. This is a daily quality thing to keep in mind. Your interactions with that child is what matters most. How are you handling it? When you're being observed, the rater doesn't care if that child jumps on the table. The rater cares how you're reacting to the situation, how you're handling it and speaking with the child. Always leading with empathy. And I think another question came in. Oh, conversation starters in the interest centers to help teachers if they're stuck starting a conversation. That's an awesome tip. Love that. You can put up conversation starters or open-ended questions just all throughout the room, spark ideas.
And Brandy, we've got those conversation starters posters that we can share when we do the follow-up email, so everyone will have them. But yeah, that is such a great idea, because just to have that reminder, even if you as the staff member is, you're always remembering those questions when you have a volunteer come in or a parent come in or a substitute or a new staff member. It's great.
Yeah. I'll also share with you, Lori, so you can share the interactions cheat sheet. Like I said, when I pulled the interactions out of these books, I put them exactly what category they're in. So you can just post those up and refer to them too.
Right. And I think you made such an important point, Brandy, that yes, it's important to do these during the rating time. And I think Mona said the same thing, but this is just basic high quality practices. And as a teacher who's passionate about providing the best for children, you always want to be providing the quality. Eckers just measures the quality, but you always want to be providing it.
Someone added show and tell is another way to know the child's interest. I agree. I love that. The one thing I used to do with show and tell, I learned it the hard way actually, was I realized the best thing to do is kind of pull the child aside whose turn it is for show and tell and say, did you remember your show and tell today? Do you have a show and tell? And if it's a no, I ask that question in private. And if it's a no, let's walk around and I can grab something that you really like that you can show the kids. So not to make them feel bad that they forgot something or not put them on the spot, make them feel sad about it, but to really show them that, you are really into these baby dolls. Do you want to show everyone how you play with them, or you want to show them something about the baby that you love? But yeah, that's a good one. $125. I did good on time today.
You did, Brandy. You did.
I talk
great.
like really fast.
Like lightning. I'm curious to know what kind of questions people were asking as we came back from Thanksgiving break. What were the things that your children wanted to talk about with you?
Well, when we came back from the break, I made sure to first ask, what did you do over the break? I do mention Thanksgiving because some children might not be celebrating Thanksgiving, or based on culture, religion, any reason. So what did you do over the break? If they bring the subject, the what they did on Thursday, if they did somewhere or they hosted, maybe they did it Friday or Saturday, we accept that. We spontaneously we expand the conversation. But I won't ask specifically what did you do during Christmas or what did you do during over the break, and then whatever. Maybe they didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, but they went to the mall, for example, for Black Friday.
Mhm.
Another thing to be mindful of, I know my daughter, she absolutely loves school. She gets up, she gets ready, she's at the door, she's ready to go. But after that break, she was like, do I have to go to school today? So a lot of children, after staying home for so many days, are kind of like, I just want to stay here. Like, it's comfortable. This is home. I'm not ready to go back. So being aware of that, if there are some moods that are, not typical right now, maybe it's that going on, that they just had a lot of family time at home.
Great. Yeah, that is such a great suggestion, Brandy. And Mona, what you mentioned, absolutely, like not making the assumption that everyone is going to be celebrating the same holidays. Even a holiday like Thanksgiving, which we think of kind of as an American holiday, not everybody celebrates. There's a lot of holidays that people celebrate in different ways or don't choose to celebrate based on culture, religion, background, all kinds of things like that. So,
Oh, that's so cute. Rosalina had said one student asked if I was in school looking for them because they were home with family.
oh, that
They
is
think
sweet. That is
we live
sweet.
there.
I remember when I was teaching, a little girl looked into our supply closet, which was this, almost like it was a dirt floored crawl space, and said, "Is that where you live, Miss Lori?" No, not quite. I love you, but I don't live here at school. So we just have a minute left. I just want to share my screen for a minute. And what I want to share is I want to share the brilliance of you all. And this is what we did with all of your comments when we asked you at last month, I think, and the month before, we asked at our quick tips for teachers what you like to do in the winter. So I'm going to share my screen just so you can see this. And that is this is our newsletter. I will make sure that you all get a link to our newsletter. It's going to be coming out next week. So that is our page that includes all of the tips that you shared, your favorite activities. We had so many that we needed to do a second page. And so we've got them on there as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing. We were so excited to be able to include those ideas. So this month's attendance sheet that I put in the chat asked you, what's your favorite book to share with your kids? So when our next newsletter comes out, we're going to make sure to include those. So we're so happy that you're here today. We are taking next month off because the 4th Tuesday would be right in between Christmas and New Year's. So we are not going to be meeting, but we have our new NJCCIS numbers and they will be open for you to sign up as of next week. We'll make sure that that information is included. And like I said, they're not available to sign up just today, but they will be available to sign up next week. So we look forward to you all joining us in January.
Yes,
So,
it will be January 23rd, same time, 1 to 1:30, and that topic is transitions. So I look forward to it. Thank you all so much.
oh, and I think Josephine put something in the chat here, which is something, just being mindful that not all children do something during their break. My son came to me and said, "Mommy, we did not do anything during our break because some of his friends went on vacation." Oh, okay, so just the way that you're asking that question.
Yeah.
Just the way that you're asking that question, right? So not making an assumption that someone went away or went on vacation. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And let me go ahead and stop recording.